the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Bears fans, it's starting to sound that Ryan Poles is aiming to double down at this key position in the upcoming NFL draft. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, we are another day closer to the 2025 NFL draft. And once again, I want to remind you guys that I will be going live for round one of the NFL draft. So make sure you guys come join the live stream and have a good time right here on Keek on the Mic. So Bears fans, as we near ever closer to the 2025 NFL draft, General Manager Ryan Poles has developed a very interesting tendency over his last couple of years as a Chicago Bears GM, where he will double down at the same position with multiple picks in trying to make that position a weakness into a position of strength. He did it in 2022 at the safety position with Jaquan Brisker in round 2. And then the 7th round, he took Elijah Hicks. Did it again in 2023 at the cornerback position where he took Tyreek Stevenson in round 2 and Terrell Smith in round 5. And then just last year in 2024, he did it at the wide receiver position as well, where he drafted Rome Odunze in round 1 and then traded a 4th round pick to get veteran receiver Keenan Allen. So he definitely has a tendency to double down at positions of need. And now, according to some rumors around the National Football League, the belief is that Ryan Poles might be preparing to double down again in the 2025 NFL draft, this time at the running back position. And Bears fans, this should be by no surprise whatsoever. Everyone knows that the Bears are aiming to upgrade the running back room. Ben Johnson made that a very clear point when he became the new Chicago Bears head coach, is that he wanted to add to what they already have in Chicago in the running back room with DeAndre Swift. And the expectation is that Ryan Poles and the Bears will draft a running back within the first 2 rounds. And obviously you have guys like Ashton Jeanty, Amarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, or Quinshon Judkins. I expect one of those guys to be a Chicago Bear by next week's NFL draft, whether it's in round 1 or round 2. This is a perfect year to need a running back or want to add a running back to your football team. And I know there's a lot of Bears fans out there saying that, you know, it may find it unnecessary to double down at one position, especially at the running back currently. Because when you look at the Chicago Bears roster, you have DeAndre Swift, had over 1,300 total yards last season in a very, crappy situation with really no offensive line, not a good coaching staff whatsoever. But DeAndre Swift, still had a very productive season for the Chicago Bears offense. But just like I just mentioned, Ben Johnson is looking to add to a guy like DeAndre Swift. Of course, you have Roschon Johnson. Hasn't really shown much besides being a short yardage back. Maybe Ben Johnson has a bigger plan for him. And then, of course, you have Ian Willard. There's been a lot of Bears fans talking about Ian Willard coming off that torn ACL. Maybe he can find a home in Ben Johnson's offense here in Chicago. But the truth of the matter is they definitely need to upgrade the running back room besides DeAndre Swift, which I feel like he could be a very quality back with an improved offensive line. And of course, Ben Johnson coming into the fold. And I know we talked about scenarios where, he played under Ben Johnson in Detroit and he got traded away, after playing for 1 year under Ben Johnson. So there's a lot of, things going around saying maybe, Ben Johnson doesn't really like DeAndre Swift, but I think DeAndre Swift will be one of the vocal points to really get this offense going here in Chicago under Ben Johnson. They just want to add to DeAndre Swift, but we do need to upgrade and add to the running back room. And once again, this is a great draft to need a running back. I love the idea of doubling down, right? Getting guys maybe like Ashton Jeanty, and then looking down the board in a deep running back draft and maybe adding another guy to the fold. Remember, Ben Johnson wants to run the football effectively, so he is going to bring in the best running backs possible for his offense. And for me personally, you guys can have a different opinion down below in the comment section. Realistically, the 2 running backs talking about in the NFL draft that I would love to see the Chicago Bears draft would be 1, Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. or maybe even a Marion Hampton. And then another guy that I really like in this year's NFL draft is Brashard Smith out of SMU. In the later rounds, he's 5'10", 196 pounds, could be a productive receiving back that can cause mismatches against opposing defenses. I can see a scenario where Ben Johnson's able to really dissect opposing defenses with guys like Brashard Smith. He's not going to be an every down back in the National Football League, but the guy had 41 catches for 337 yards in 2024. So I think if you're able to pair Ashton Jeanty, a guy that can be an every down back, with a guy like Brashard Smith, a guy that can be a receiving back at a high level in the National Football League, especially under Ben Johnson, I think things can get very scary here in Chicago and just only elevate not only Caleb Williams, because you're going to be running the ball effectively, but also giving him another weapon in a guy like Brashard Smith and even in Ashton Jeanty. And now you're looking at the running back room, and it's completely upgraded. You would then have DeAndre Swift, Ashton Jeanty, and Brashard Smith. And then that may mean scary hours for DeAndre Swift, because if he doesn't come out and perform, you may be looking at your two new running backs here in Chicago and Ashton Jeanty and Brashard Smith. So Bears fans, I just wanted to come on here really quick and give you that quick update on what I've been hearing about what the Bears are thinking about doing in next week's 2025 NFL draft. And at the same time, it all depends on how the board falls for Ryan Poles. Just because he wants to double down at a position doesn't mean that's how the board's going to fall to him or the Bears organization. So if it falls perfectly and he's able to land one of the top running backs in round 1 or 2, right, that's Ashton Jeanty or Marion Hampton or Caleb Johnson, and then get a late round steal in Brashard Smith. There's also Trevor Etienne from Georgia as well. That would be a nice fit in the later rounds for the Chicago Bears. I can see Ryan Poles doing it, but the board has to fall the right way. So Bears fans, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. Would you guys be okay with Ryan Poles and the Bears doubling down at this key position, talking about the running back position here in Chicago? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once again, it makes a whole lot of sense just knowing that now we have Ben Johnson in the fold. He wants to run the football. They upgraded the offensive line, but now he's trying to bring in the best running backs possible to really see his offense come to life and obviously take a lot of pressure off of Caleb Williams as well going into year 2. So overall, I absolutely love the idea of doubling down at the running back position. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.